All right, we're back. I'm still doing absolutely magnificent, as established in the last video. Hmm, um, whole body just falling apart today. Very weird. All right, so the rule set here is weird. Same plus combo, you might think, where's plus wall? Well, it's level 1, which already makes plus wall rare, and the official steps actually rule out plus wall. If I was doing this rule set, I would have put plus wall and same wall on, just because I would have thought it was funny to do so, because they cannot possibly occur. Because our main stip, it's level 1, all decks, is can only use the numbers 2, 3, and 4, 4, no 4, 4 corners. Oh, I just made a list of cards I can that are available, but I included 4, 4 corners. My bad. I forgot about that step, so I'll send a message there. Vida's first turn. Deli and I both think this is a pretty bad rule set for second turn. We mentioned in passing about 3 minutes ago, because it's just so easy for everything you set up to be shared by your opponent. There's going to be so many insanes and pluses with all the cards so close together that dodging it is really difficult. So let's remove the 4, 4 corners from my list. Those had no 4, 4s. 2, 2, 4, 4 is not doable. 2, 3, 4, 4 is not doable. 2, 4, 4, 2 is not doable. Sorry, this must be thrilling. 3, 2, 4, 4 is not doable. 4, 3, 2, 4 is not doable. 4, 4, 2, 3 is not doable. 4, 4, 3, 2 is not doable. So the most powerful things available in general are 4, 3, 4, 2s, think like caterchipillar, and maybe 3, 3, 3, 4. There is exactly 1, 3, 3, 3, 4. Okay, Vid goes in 4. We have a side starter. Now, my instinct is that side starters do not take advantage of the rule set. Because here's what I think is going to happen now. Deli should have at least 1 4 to the right in his hand, right? Like, if I was playing this, I would probably have a hand of caterchipillar, that's like 4 3 4 2. There's another 4 2 4 3 that's available. There's a 2 4 3 4. I don't think there's a 3 4 2 4, but there's like 3 3 3 4. So I'd kind of spam all cards of that type. In which case, Deli plays, say, 2 4 3 4 and 1, right? And that's safe. Vid has to block 7. Deli plays in 2, setting up 5. It's pretty hard to concede 5, but if you go 5 and set up Deli in 8, you probably, you lose. So it's really hard to play in or concede 5. You probably have to go 6. But I think this is like the reason my instinct is first turn has an advantage. I keep losing my train of thought as soon as like I say 2 words. But the reason I think first turn should have an advantage is because it's so likely that they have last access to any pair of combo squares, and because the numbers are all in such a close range, there's going to be so much same and plus potential. And so you want a game where those same and pluses are constantly emerging, which leads me to think there should be a starter in 5. Now, presumably everything I say is going to be instantly shown wrong, but it makes me think you want a starter in 5. Any synergy Deli sets up, you probably have as well. Deli did say he thinks this is going to be a massive 2 2 3 3s, and so far he has proven right. Though I would be going for those fours. I like big numbers. 4 3 4 2 seems a bunch of power. And I think this whole sequence is just tricky for Vid, right? Deli goes 1, that's safe. Where are you going besides 7? Now, in game 1, which I didn't catch, Vid started in 4, Deli played 1, and Vid played 3. But I don't think you can do that in closed. I mean, maybe you can, right? It's kind of easy to have a plus against any card in 2, right? Like, let's say in your hand you have something like 4 2 4 3 and, I don't know, 3 2 2 3. You literally plus any number that can appear facing down from 2. So maybe something like that becomes viable, but I don't think so. All right, Deli starts in 7. This is the same thing. This is safe. Vid is probably very likely close to obliged to play 1. And then when Deli plays 8, much like how it's so easy for Vid to have combos, it's really hard for Vid to block 5 because 2 is a threat. And we're seeing a sequence where Deli gets the last interaction despite having second turn. And this is something I think is difficult about side starters on a set where you can't control the you can't control them going in 1 or 7, right? You don't have pressure against those squares. And things being really likely to combo tends to work against you on side starters. So I think Deli's in a good spot here. Oh, maybe it's a second turn favored rule set. Same plus combo often is, but okay. Let's say Deli has like 4 3 4 2 in his hand, right? If Vid goes in 5, Deli can go in 4 or 6 with safety. Now Vid can go in the other with safety as well, but I think those positions are kind of unpleasant actually. Deli gets to go and say 4, you go 6, and he goes 1 or 7. Oh no, I don't like those positions. I think that's pretty good for second turn. I think this is a second turn favored rule set. Maybe you have to start with corners. But corners, the combo chains don't always work the way you'd need them to. Vid goes far away. Now, there is a very good chance this makes some sense, actually, right? There is no interaction you can do with those cards that leads to a pleasant setup, but it's not obvious there's interaction Deli can do either. Now, if I'm Deli, I probably do go 8. 2 can be really good if it sets you up in 1 and 5, but here the problem is it's almost certainly going to set up Vid in 1 and 5. It's so easy for him to have every square and very likely to even have it on the same card. Similarly, this means Deli has a lot of trouble going in 1. You go in 1 and it's miscalibrated, you lose 1 forever. Now, I think one thing that's possible is, let's say Deli has caterchipillar as well. Let's say Deli goes 1 with like a 2 facing out. Now Vid, there's a good chance he has 4 3 4 2. He sames it. But say you have a plus or same in 5. If that has a 4 down, then Vid probably doesn't have 8. It's hard to have double numbers there, but he might. He might have 3 2 2 3 or something. Yeah. I don't think you can rely on that. I think you go 8 here. I think you say, I know you can't take this, but I don't have another useful square to play in. 2 sets my opponent up so well. 1 is such high risk, right? I can't be weak to 4. I can't be ready to combo back. Not that you probably want to. But 1 is just so insecure and likely to be covered. 2 has some appeal because, it could easily set you up, and Vid can't have 6, right? 6 is untakeable. but I think you just have to go 8. I just don't like 5 sets up vid to go 8. 9 sets up vid to go 8. You don't want to concede that. 2, you're just laying so many combo squares, right? This is why we thought second turn was going to be bad, is because first turn has final access to all those combo squares. 1, you're just getting comboed and locked in. That leaves us with 6. I don't understand why we would go 6, right? 6 doesn't seem very appealing. I think you go 8. It maybe is worth thinking about too. I tend to be a defensively oriented closed player, which again, as I talked about last time, means the good moves I find are when defense is correct, and the good moves I miss is when defense is incorrect, particularly in closed. But I tend not to be, by the way, this is the pure closed rule set. I tend not to be a closed risk taker. Now, given the state of the match that Deli's up 1-0, if he thinks 2 is a coin flip, maybe there's some reason to do it, but I think you just gotta stick something in 8. I think you gotta stick something in 8. And that has some promise. It's kind of nice that 3 isn't flipped for you there, right? If Vid plays in 5, you might have slide options in 4 or in 2 or 6 that are likely to kind of lock up a tie. So I think you pick the right card to put an 8 here. If I wasn't allowed to go an 8, probably would go 2. If I wasn't allowed to go an 8 or 2, maybe I'd then consider 6. I really... 1 is so much like either this is good or I just lose the game. Maybe 1's okay, but I think it's 8. I think it's 8. Yeah. Deli does go 8. Okay. 2-3-4-3 is an interesting card choice. I didn't really consider that because I was looking at the 4-3-4s twos, but Deli clearly went more for the 4-3-3-2s, which is, not so different. So 7 is locked in forever. Deli has the first locked card. Now you may think Vid has access to the only dual access square, and Vid is final access, and it will create 2 more dual access squares. But the thing about this is, if Vid goes 5, yeah, he gets to control what goes in 5, but Deli is so likely to have combo play against it. It is so hard not to. There are only 3 numbers allowed on your cards, and they are very close numbers, right? If the 3 numbers were like 1-6-9, right? Every card must be like a 6-9-6-1 or a 1-1-6-6 or whatever. Like, obviously those cards aren't printed, but like imagine that. There are no pluses available. Or there are no pluses available between like a 9-1 and some 6s, right? Right? To get a plus, you have to exactly pair 6 and 9s or 1s and 6s or 1s and 9s. Now here, you can pair like 2s and 3s, a 3 left and a 2 down. Well, same here, but a 2 left and a 3 down will plus, right? Either iteration of those will work. But also, you can do it with a 3 and a 4, right? Everything has multiple ways to plus it that don't have to pair the exact same numbers. And so it's just, with the numbers all this close together, it is just so easy to have any combo for both players. And again, that's why we thought it was first turn favored. I've now kind of switched to second turn favored because this game turned out so promisingly for Deli. Okay, you want to slide here if you can. If you can slide here, you go in 2 or 6. I think. Like let's say you have caterchipillar. If your other card can go in 2 and doesn't combo, and maybe you can't not combo, right? Maybe you literally cannot not combo. But if you go in 2, weak to both 3 and 5, and they go 1 flipping you. They go up 7-3, and you combo in 6. You're going to flip 3, you're going to flip 5, you're going to flip 2, you're going to flip 8, you're going to go up 7-3, and they have to have the combo on the last turn. Now, there's a very good chance they do, but they have to have the double capture, right? Their card has to have aligned correctly, and it might be hard for them to do so because they already used Caterchipillar in their hand, which would be kind of the perfect card there. And if they used 4-3-3-2, maybe there's an opposite of that, like 3-2-4-3, which wouldn't work. So there's a bunch of cards that wouldn't work there. Even better would be if you could slide in 6, though I think Deli is less likely to have a hand that can do so. If you slide in 6 and Vid goes 9 and you have the combo in 2, you take 3, 5, 6, and 8, and they can only flip 1 card back. You actually just win on the spot. So if you slide in 6, they cannot go 9. They cannot go 9. So if you slide in 6 and Vid goes 2, you have a chance to just win in 1, which you have a very good chance to. And as long as you have a capture in 9, you can always take the safe time. And if they go in 1, then you go in 2, and you might win on the spot. You win on the spot if you can flip everything, but you can like at least secure a high pressure tie where they need to have captures at the end. So if you can go 6 here, 6 is best. Deli goes 2. And I think the reason is Deli didn't have 2 or Deli couldn't slide in 6. But this is the second best option, right? Now, if Vid goes in 6 or 9, Deli can go in the other one, or he can take a safe tie in 1. And if Vid goes in 1, that's a little weird to think Deli has 6 because he's already used 2 cards that would be great there, but there's a very good chance Deli has 6. I hope it's not with 3-3-3-4 because that can lose. No, because if Deli had 3-3-3-4 as his card, he would have played that in 2. That would have been the better card to play in 2. Right? Because then Caterchipillar combos back in 6. Maybe 2-4-3-3 makes sense? I'm not sure. I'm thinking, what's something that couldn't have slid comfortably in 2 that can go in 6? I'm not sure. Caterchipillar feels like the card that should have been held. But I'm probably just not thinking of something. Because there's a very good case that, like, you want a 3 down in 6, not a 4. Right? If he can combo in 6 with a 3 facing down rather than a 4, I think that's harder for Vid to have the double capture. Right? I think things like 4-3, 4-2-4-3s, the fact that you can't have a 4-4 corner, means the most likely cards for Vid to end up with. And you'd probably want to hold something like, like a Caterchipillar type card that could combo both 4s and 2s. Those things don't hit 3s. When I say a square is most desirable, like 6 was more desirable than 2, that doesn't mean you had the cards for 6. It's just like, if you can't play 6, 6 is better than 2. Why is that? Because when you combo in 2, you flip 8, because 5 hits 8, but 5 doesn't hit 4. And so you want the combo to hit cards that are, essentially disconnected to their final turn. So if you go 6, they go 9, you go 2. The bonus card you flip is 8, which they can't touch with their final move in 1. But you go 2, they go 1, you go 6. The bonus card you flip is still 8, and they can interact with that from 9. Alright, so if Deli held 3-3-3-4, he's really screwed this up. He should have played that in 2 instead. So we have to assume he has... That makes more sense. Oh, but he should have slid in 2 with that. Maybe it didn't give him 1 and he thought he needed 1. But I like that this is the 3 down. But I think he should have slid with 2-2-3-3 and 2. Wait, what am I talking about? Sorry. he didn't have a slide in 6, right? Sorry, I was thinking, should he slide in 6? But I think this was the right order. Sorry, I think this was the right order to slide. He put caterchipillar in 2 so he could have a 3 down in 6 rather than a 4, which I think was smart. I think it's harder to take the 3. Yeah, no, I think that was really smart ordering of which card to slide into. He kept the weaker card, but the weaker card is harder to take. Like, Bid needs 3-2-2-3 almost exactly, or 2-3-3-2. But why would you hold on to 2-3-3-2 here? I guess maybe you had to, but like, what has Bid shown? He's shown 2 side to sides, 1 up down, 1 a little more up. He's been neutral side to side, and he's shown a little more up than down. So he actually is more likely from in a vacuum to have 2-3-3-2 than 3-2-2-3. But I think he shouldn't have either. He could also have 3-2-4-3 or 3-2-3-4 if those exist. 3-2-4-3 or 3-4-2-3 if those exist. 3-4-2-3 would make some sense. Then he'd have recaptures of his starters in both 1 and 7. And we know 3-4-2-3 exists because it's in Deli's hand. And I'm not sure if 3-4-2-4 existed, so maybe that was the choice. If Vid ties, I think it's probably 3-4-2-3. It is not. Yeah. Oh, huge congrats to Deli. I think he played a really good game here. I'm curious what his last card was, but presuming he couldn't slide in 6, I love his sequence of 2 then 6, where he could have had a 4 facing out, but he chose a 3 facing out instead. And we can see from this final play from Vid, he would have plussed or samed, right? A 2 or a 4. He was ready to meet a 2 or a 4, and Deli correctly noted it is harder to have double numbers. It is harder to take a 3 than a 4. And so he set up the combo chain such that his final outfacing number would be the 3, not the 4. Let's head over to the leaderboard because it's going to be fun to update some stats here. And while I wasn't ready to talk about it today, I think this is going to up some Deli stats. And it's going to be interesting to see where it lands. Because this is, okay, it's taking a little while to load, but I do want to celebrate. I feel very pleased for him. I think he really earned this one, and I think he played great. I also want to credit Vid for playing a really good tournament. He lost in the quarters, but played really well versus Yevon. And just very strong in this format. Consistently been very strong. That's not the look I wanted to look at. Let's click a different tab. So I think he'll pass Seto for 3rd in my Hall of Fame score. But more importantly, he will extend his pretty enormous lead for most wins all time. Vid will pass me. Boo. Most championships, we now have a 3-way tie between myself, Yojimbo, and Delial. Come on, Seto, where are you at? Gotta win the next 3. If he wins the next 3, that would be incredible. But for finals, he moves up to 8, tied for 3rd, 4th. For most semifinals, he moves up to 12, tied for 2nd through 4th. That's a fun 3-way tie. Yeah, I like that. For most icons, he extends his already pretty clear lead. All right, he has played the most tournaments, but this is just a lot of stuff that he is now tops on. But I really like this 3-way tie for most championships. I think this is a really the right 3 players to have 21 championships between us. Though if Seto just played more tournaments, he could easily be in this group. But yeah. And given that Deli is the most active of us, there's a good chance Deli will get an 8th. Huge congrats to Deli. What a really strong run. Let's look back and think about the run. how do I want to do this? Let's actually bring up the TTAC15 bracket, and I will close this window. I don't know if it will disappear for you. It doesn't disappear for you. Cool. And we will switch Chrome tabs we're showing to TTAC15. And we can scroll down and see Deli. In the first round, he beat Sergio. I don't know if you remember that matchup. I thought Sergio played great. I thought that was a really impressive matchup from Sergio. He turned the closed game into a coin flip, which I think when you're playing, Delial is a very reasonable strategy. He beat Sachi in round 2. I'm not sure I caught any of that. And then in round 3, he has a really incredible match for Sakiyama. He wins the close 9-1. They play a bunch of open. They both find some wonderful ties. Eventually, something doesn't click for Deli and he loses, but he wins the open close. That's clearly the toughest matchup he had in just terms of the games played, but also, Akiyama's great. Then he faces Tezuka, who literally never loses, and manages to 2-0 Tezuka, who 2-0s everyone. And then he 2-0s the finals as well. So he goes overall 8 and 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 and 2, with his only losses being Sergio in closed, who, again, as I said, I think played a great match, and Akiyama in open, which I think, given this bracket, it's a really, really impressive achievement. I'm happy for him, and I'm going to end the video so I can go congratulate him. So congrats to the TTAC. Oh, actually, another thing. TTAC 15 winner Delial. Note this is also the second TTAC Delial has won. There is only one other player who has ever won 2 TTACs. It's now Broccoli and Delial, and that's it. So that's pretty cool too. He won both of them in later eras, but I think sure, it's 5 rounds, but you look at this bracket, Vid, Tezuka, Akiyama in the last 3 rounds. That's as tough as any field's going to be, that's no easier than the old brackets used to be. And the other bracket he won, he beat Yojimbo in the finals, and that ain't easy either. So, yeah, huge congrats to Deli.